If you're a pop culture junkie who loves TV, film, music, comedy, and other really important stuff, then you've come to the right place. Get ready and settle in for Classic Conversations, the best pop culture interviews in the world. That's right, we circled the globe so you don't have to. If you're ready to be the king of the water cooler, then you're ready for Classic Conversations with your host, Jeff Dwoskin.
All right, Donna, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. You get the show going each and every week, and this week was no exception. Welcome, everybody, to episode 318 of Classic Conversations. As always, I am your host, Jeff Dwoskin. We're going beyond in this episode, beyond the rush. That's right. I have two special guests today. Two for you tuned in. You're like, two? We only expect, well, you got two. We got Rob Sayegh and Bill Barrett. Rob Sayegh is the writer, director of Beyond the Rush. Bill Barrett brings to life his main character in that movie. They just wrapped. They're hanging around. They're like, Jeff, can we chat? Of course. Let's talk about this amazing movie that stars also Eric Roberts, Kathy Moriarty, Frankie Faison, John Savage, Mina Savari. Oh my God. This movie is incredible. And they're sharing all the stories. This is an amazing story of a short story. It became a short film and now a feature film. So if you're into hearing all about the path of creativity and bring something to life, you've come to the right place. And that's coming up in just a few seconds. And in these few seconds, episode 317 was magical with Justin Flom. Check that out. Viral sensation. But you know who else is a sensation? My guests today, Rob Sayegh, Bill Barrett. We're going deep into Beyond the Rush. Enjoy. All right, everyone, I am excited. Coming at you with the writer, the director, the star of Beyond the Rush, Rob Sayegh, Bill Barrett. Guys, welcome to the show. I'm excited to chat with you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So Beyond the Rush started as a short.
Really started in 1992 as a short story. So I wrote it when I was a senior in high school. It had two characters, Samuel Grievous and Edward Claiborne. Over the 3 decades, developed into a short film. So I wrote the short script in 2001 and then was able to make the short in 2016. And then I wrote the first version of the feature March of 2017 and literally shot the feature film in March of from March 13th to April 5th of 2024. So that's the short story of the long road that it took to get this story out there.
What are the primary differences between the short version? I'm sure, Bill, you saw the short version, and that was part of what brought you on, in addition to the amazing script. What are the differences between the Sam character and the original, or the story to expand it from 21 minutes to a feature-length film?
Bill, did you ever watch the short? I don't think I gave you the short. Okay, so I didn't give Bill the short for
exclusive. Bill has never seen. No, just kidding.
Yeah, because the Samuel character in the short is a lot different. I don't want Bill, when you watch something and then you think about, oh, should I act like that? Or I just wanted him going in totally clean on what the feature was, because the short version character, he wasn't as, he's just a lot more of an addict, and it was a lot stranger character, and he was a lot more violent. And from the development into the feature-length character, who's more of an everyday addict, he's a functioning addict and more like anyone we all run into. There's a lot of people we work with that kind of everybody, a high percentage of people are functioning alcoholics or drug addicts, unfortunately, and just the way it is in life. So between the two, it's such a jump. I didn't want him to be kind of sullied by it or like affected. So he never even got to see the short story character. He kind of just read the feature length, which was supposed to be more, and to make this more commercially saleable for the masses to come see. And he was perfect. It's a regular guy who has his demons and his problems. It was a very different character. Now that it's over, I will send it to him, and he's probably going to be pretty shocked. The guy who played him it's just weirder. He's a stranger character. So.
Well, yeah, now you should definitely watch it.
Yeah, he'll watch it now. He's going to be like, whoa, yeah, where'd that come from? But it definitely evolved from all the way from that, from even the short story. It's 32 years ago. So,
Bill, so what drew you to this character? How did you get Tyler Perry to be time off from the Oval? No, it's okay.
Well, I was drawn to the character just from the story and the struggles that he was going through. Life experiences that I've been able to relate to with a lot of the stuff that Samuel went to, not like exact, but be able to relate to that in different ways. I get drawn to characters and roles that are heavier and kind of go into a lot of the things that we deal with on a daily basis. And they're not all like sunshine and rainbows. Like I really enjoy those types of roles and projects. And then getting to know Rob. So I did the audition process and everything, but then getting to know Rob and understanding how much of a passion project this was to him and how this has been in his life since he said 92. And, you know, how the sheer course of time, but just the energy that he's gone through to make this and how much his story means to him on a personal level. That's probably what meant the most to me. And I remember telling him in the beginning that like my main goal with this whole thing is just to make him proud. So if he's proud of what we did by the end of this, like that makes me happy. It's not like, I don't care like how I look or how I come across for me. I want him to be like really proud with the end result of this because this is his baby.
Rob, follow-up question. Are you proud?
Oh, I can't be prouder. I can't believe what Bill and the rest of the cast was able to bring to this. It's so surreal to have been, you know, standing on set and directing talent like Bill, like Mina Suvari and Kathy Moriarty, John Savage and Eric Roberts and Frankie Faison and all these people who came to this project and attached and gave me everything like that. I can't, to watch them perform the scenes and things that I wrote better than I could have ever imagined is unbelievable. It's really, it's surreal. I don't know what other word to use. It's like I had a dream that I made a movie. It's and it's still, it's like me and Bill were talking earlier about it. I'm like, you know what? I really would prefer to go back into that world, that dream I was just having, because, you know, stepping out of that world that I created and these guys helped create, stepping back into reality kind of is a little bit of it's a rough step back. I'm so proud and so impressed, like Bill, of what he did, you know, because basically telling him earlier too, we had a rap party and he walked in and I was immediately like, oh, snap, that's Bill, you know? So like, as much as he was himself, he was also Samuel for like a month that I was with him, like all the time with him. And I was like, oh, it was really interesting to watch. I knew he was a great actor from the moment he auditioned, but to just then see him as Bill, I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, we talked baseball, and not that we didn't during the filming, it was just different. God, I'm so grateful for these guys and for what Bill did with this character. It's unbelievable. And I can't wait for everyone to see his performance. And see the whole team's performance.
Bill, describe, so Sam's an addict. Is he an addict or a recovering addict or lifelong addict or?
Functioning addict, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you put yourself into that role? Like, did you do research with other addicts? Perhaps you're an addict yourself. We're about to break some news here, folks. Bill, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, shit. No.
This just in?
Yeah. And here it is. No, I did a lot of research. I've talked to people, friends, and I've spoken to a lot of people. I've watched documentaries. I did a lot of research, you know, people that are close to me. And I was really able to get into the mind of being like this type of addict that Samuel is specifically. I would say I understand an addictive personality to a degree as well. So that helps. But really just talking to people, I think, has been the best way for me to get into that place, because you really get to understand why people do the things that they do. Like, what's the foundation that's coming from? Like, where is their trauma? Where is their pain? Or is it simply just that they're constantly like needing something for comfort? I mean, there's so many different things to tap into to understand that. But I mean, that was probably the most powerful thing, is talking to people.
Do you have anyone on set that kind of like is an addict expert, like just gut check like certain things along the way? You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is actually how someone may have done that, or they would have emotionally cut themselves off in this way or something like that.
I think everyone on there has had some sort of issue with something. I mean, I know I got sober. My drinking almost, you know, it got a big hold of me. So May 8th, 2018 is my sobriety date. So I've kind of had my bouts with addictions and problems. And I think most people in the creative field battle addictions, whether it's drugs or alcohol or other things that happen, obsessive compulsive disorder. So I think we're all kind of, as human beings in this arena, I think we kind of all knew what it feels like at some point, or someone very close to us has been involved. So I think those things just from life, we kind of all were kind of experts. In my opinion, I mean, Bill might have a different.
I agree. Having I think everyone, to your point, has had those life experiences and then also known so many people. So it was never really like a question of, is this right, or are we coming from the right place? Because for one, it was a constant conversation about the scenes and about the character and about the situations. But in terms of that, because so many people in general, but especially, in the crew and on set, we understand from people we know and our own experiences, it was just a thing that we knew from the conversations. It was never really a question of, would it really do this or would it be like that? It was, the conversation would continue and we would be like, yeah, that's exactly how it would be, and our experiences and experiences from people that we knew.
How much of the short and the old and the original story went into, was Bill the only one kept from this, or was that sort of also used as a calling card to get the feature made?
It's always good to show what you have been able to do in the past, and as a proof of concept that I could co-direct something and write and cast it and put something together on a level that was a little bit more than just a student film, Having the short was a step forward in getting to the feature. But to be honest with you, when I made the short, I was just getting it off a bucket list, really, for myself. I wasn't planning on making this into a movie. I have other writing that I was trying to get done into a feature level project. And this kind of just got, the universe sort of handed it to me. Well, it didn't hand it to me. It made me struggle and beg and all those other things to get it done and fight. But the short was definitely a stepping stone. And I don't think if I didn't do the short, there's no way I was going to be putting the feature together. So in that regard, it really helped. And there were a few people in the cast who I think got to see it, like a Kathy Moriarty. I think she asked me for it. She had watched it. There were, I think, a few people who watched it whose characters weren't in the short. I think it was important that Bill didn't see it, just so he had his own fresh take on the character. I think it worked. There was no Grandma Judy in the short, and there was no wife. There was no Tristan in the short. So there were a bunch of characters who weren't even in the short that I felt okay if they asked me to see it, because it didn't affect them in any way, because they didn't exist. That's, I think, what the short was able to do for me, was able to give me just a resume of some sort and just a background with it and comfortability to move forward to building this thing, which is, the short was 19 pages. This was 104 or 105. So yeah, I think that's what the short was able to do for me for the feature.
So when the universe presented this opportunity, how do you go from 19 to 104 pages is a big jump, right? Just to all of a sudden kind of expand the world and create the characters, like you just said, that weren't even in the short. And that means you got to create new things. And, maybe Bill's character, Sam, is doing certain things and going down different paths, and even maybe to get to the same finale. But how long did it take to go from 19 pages to 104 pages?
Yeah, what it was? It was going into the backstory of Samuel and thinking about, okay, this guy, what was his backstory? Where did he come from? Where did his mom, what was their household like? Right. So kind of started there, and, always thought he should have a brother because I had brothers. And then the grandma kind of came out because the mother was mentally ill. And I was always like, okay, so who would take care of these kids? Because if they took the mother away, because in the short, got to take her away, and Samuel's looking at her go through a door. And I was always like, oh, wait, who took care of the kids after she got taken away? So that's where that built from. And then all these other kind of additional characters. I don't, it's 8 years. Did put all those characters into the first draft. I don't think there were any new characters added. They changed a little bit. But I think from the moment I started thinking about what the backstory was and start writing, you kind of the story writes itself and goes into the different areas where it leads you there as a writer, which is weird to say unless you don't really understand it. I didn't really understand it until I started writing more and more, that when you do start writing a story, it kind of takes you where it wants to. So the answer in that was really when I wrote the first draft, it was long. So I think the first draft was like 140 pages, and it's because I come from writing books. So it's hard. It was difficult to, with my thoughts, write a lot of description. And when you write scripts, you have to cut all that down. So it went from, all that down to what we wound up shooting at, which was like 104, 103, I think, actually.
Sorry to interrupt. I have to take a quick break. Do want to thank everyone for their support of the sponsors. When you support the sponsors, you're supporting us here at Classic Conversations, and that's how we keep the lights on. And now back to my conversation with Rob Sayegh and Bill Barrett.
God, there were a lot of different things that came about in developing the character, but mainly all around Samuel. And I was really happy with making Samuel more believable, more realistic, and more hopeful. Bill helped to take that character and make it that way, so we can appeal to a lot of people, as opposed to just this one niche. I think the way he acted in the character and brought the character to life, I think it's going to be relatable to a lot of people. And then this was help from him and Amanda Clayton, and then like Landon Moss, who played his friend in it, and all the characters that surround Samuel, Bill. He's the epicenter. So all those characters came about because of him, because of Samuel. And then when Bill came in as Samuel, it was like, wow, like it really was this lightning rod in the middle. This exceeded my expectations.
I mean,
Yeah. Sorry, I talk a lot.
No, it's very cool. Bill, in terms of this role for you and leading this movie, as I look at your acting background, you've got a pretty powerful and full IMDb starting from 2000. I mean, you got some killer credits for being newer to the game, right? I mean, is that fair to say? Can I say that?
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate that. I think so. I'm proud of them.
You should be. I just want to go, we're with someone who's canon to the MCU, so we should probably just address that for a second. How is it working with all these amazing co-stars? Rob was mentioning him earlier, but it's just a who's who from a who's who of movies. Curious about working, but then also, Rob, I want to talk to you about like just putting this cast together and in general and having them come to life as the characters that you created from what started as a short story and is now this motion picture. I mean, that's got to be exciting. All these levels. We got so many levels. Bill, like, oh my God, you're in the Deer Hunter. Like, how is it? Like, do you get like starstruck? Like, I would be saying, like, oh my God, you're in the Deer Hunter. Oh, you were in Raging Bull. It's just like, it's got to be kind of surreal to like.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's completely surreal. In the moment before meeting them, there's definitely the feelings of just like, holy shit, I'm about to work with John Savage in this scene, and then Eric Roberts and Kathy and Mina and Frankie. And, each one of them, there was kind of like, wow, you kind of just getting excited going into meeting them. But the nice thing was being able to kind of meet each of them before. And then when we got onto the set, I was trying to just see through Samuel's eyes. So once we got onto set and in character, I don't have any of those feelings or any of those thoughts anymore. I'm purely just looking at them as the character they play and the relationship that I have to that character. So there's some heavy stuff that I have with all of them, but specifically Eric and Frankie, and to sit there and think about like, not to give anything away in the movie, but whatever emotion is feeling with them, if I'm thinking of who I'm working with, that would take me out. I was purely just seeing their character. But I was super excited to be in those situations because, I mean, these are great actors that have been doing this and they're legends in the industry. And so I took it as a very aware of just the moment, which I'm happy about, as opposed to just not being aware of the moment, but being aware of how special that was. And also just trying to pick up anything that I can from them because, again, they're great actors. They've been doing this a while and they were so kind and helpful on set. But anything that I can learn from them or pick up, I think that's the name of the game, is always trying to get better and, being aware of when you're in greatness, like, how can you get better from that? It was awesome. It's like, it's to say all that and then just say,
I mean, right. You're there as Sam and you can't be like, looking at Frankie and thinking to yourself, oh my God, I love The Wire.
Yeah. Yeah. But outside of that, I would totally just be looking at his eyes and seeing his characters and just be like, I wouldn't take away my focus from their eyes when they were talking, just because it's just like, this is awesome. And I just want to be in this moment with you.
Rob, what was the whole casting process? Just in terms of like filling in the blanks of these characters that mean so much to you and then having them come to life.
I cannot believe when I looked at the end of this in this IMDb list, I was like, wow, I could not believe the people who attached themselves to this, to be honest. It was like, there were a couple at the beginning who just came through connections and friends who I knew. And then I worked with the woman, Donna McKenna, who was my casting director. And her and I mean, God, she went through thousands of like sort of, we had to put out breakdowns and never did that before. But we, for the most part, anyone I got was through someone I knew in the business, and I'd make a phone call, text, email, whatever, send them a script or do whatever, and it would just be that way. But got to the point where that didn't work anymore. So we needed massive amount of characters like quick. So she put out some breakdowns, and the way that they came in, I mean, Donna just sifted through them, thousands of people, and then just put to like audition tapes, right? But to like Frankie, believe it or not, Frankie Faison's people came through the breakdown, but I mean, he's not, you can't audition him. He's an offer only guy, and that's understandable. But I didn't expect to get Frankie Faison for Arthur Yearwood. Like in a million years, and Donna had called me. She's like, "What do you think about Frank?" I'm like, "Frankie." I said, "Yeah." Yeah. Send him the script. Like, okay. And then she was like, "He's interested," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" You don't expect that. So John Savage came through a connection of a co-producer from the last Full Measure. And I had reached out to John myself, sent the script, and he left me this amazing message that I saved to this day. And that's how he came on board in October 2022. Jace Bartok was a friend of mine, and he looked at the script. He played Teddy. He came on first in August 2021 and also came on as a executive producer of mine as well and helped me. He's a writer, did a lot of big things, and is like he's basically a working actor for 30 years or so. So him and his wife, they actually live off of this profession, which was amazing that he attached like that with me and was able to help me build this project over the last 3 years. And then Eric came through Eric and Eliza, because Eliza, his wife, also plays a day role in this, plays a part. They were just amazing. They came on board too. They read the script. Everyone had to read the script. It doesn't matter, I think, like who it'll get you that introduction, like, oh, hey, I'm going to show this to, Donna would be like, I'm going to show this to Eric and Eliza. They said yes, and I was like, oh my God, like, wow, like these people just started attaching, and that's kind of how that casting process happened. But it took from August 2021, there was like those 3 years, I had some tragic event happen in my life that halted it for a little bit of time. But when I got back on board to do this and Donna came on, it really did accelerate. Kathy Moriarty came on in June of 2023, and then Donna joined me in September. And then we were making the film March 13th, right? So luckily, this guy fell out of heaven from somewhere to play Samuel. And when he came on board, that was kind of like, believe it or not, he was one of the last people we casted. And I was like, yo, listen, we need to get Samuel in here. No one was good at, no one hit me right. And when he showed up, we were like, wow, that's really how the casting process happened. And we had young versions of all these guys, of Samuel, Teddy, Peter, Bill's brother, Samuel's brother, who was played by Christopher Egan, who actually brought himself in from Australia. That was another crazy story, and to play the role. And then we had Tristan, who is Amanda Clayton, his wife. So we had young versions of them that were like 6 or 7, and then Peter was 10, and then we had teen versions who were all like 17, 18-year-olds, So we have Morgan Harville and Magnus Neal, Hunter Nance. So and these kids were all great actors. So it's like, it was an enormous casting project. And I remember with Donna, me and her, I would get like 10 phone calls a day from her, and we would go back and forth and breakdowns. She filtered through an enormous amount of people and then gave me an enormous amount of people. What she broke it down from was amazing, because she handed me like the top 30 or 40 people to look at. And that came from hundreds, if not thousands of auditions and, resumes or whatever that she would get in the breakdown. It was It was enormous. And Mina actually was also, Donna had worked with Mina's management, and Oren is her manager agent. When Donna brought Mina's name, I was like, oh my God, Mina would be great. Like, Mina's perfect. I just like, again, I was like, Mina's not going to take this. You don't think about Mina Suvari taking a role that you wrote. Like, that's a really awesome role, but whatever. It's like, same thing. It's like, send it to her. And then she's interested. And you're like, what? And then you have to, go through that process of of doing the deal and signing and getting everybody together and then putting all of their schedules together. Because, Bill is the lead. Lee is the other lead, but Mina's only here for 9 days. Bill was like, he's like 20 days and a month. Like, he's a month on. But everyone else were lead supporting roles for the most part. Mina in there, Leah, she's going to be the lead. She is a lead, the lead woman, but there were all these other people who were coming from all other different places and trying to put all their schedules together. And that was another huge jigsaw puzzle that we somehow put together. But it was like getting their names and be like, okay, great. Okay, that guy's going to do it. Eric's going to do it. Mina's doing it. They're coming from all over these places. So let's build around their schedules. Pick a few people who we just build the rest of the schedules around. And that's kind of how we did it. And Bill being the lead was like, okay, I know he's going to be here for a month. And, because he lived here sometimes, travels a few other different states, but one of his home states is here. So it was great. We had him too. So that was kind of, that's how that casting process happened. And as crazy as it sounds by me explaining it, it was crazier.
This is why they're going to start giving Academy Awards for casting.
Oh, yeah. Listen, Donna talks to me all the time about it. And I hope I can make, these guys are making one of my dreams come true. And there's a lot of things I want to make sure I get this done the correct way to make theirs, to represent everybody. And especially Bill, including Donna. She also, I think it's called the Spirit Award, I think, that for casting or something. So hopefully we put this movie out the right way. Like, if I've seen some cuts and the performances are amazing. So I think we're going to have a good shot with it being put out the correct way at the right time with the right exposure. That these guys will get the attention they deserve, all of them.
What does that mean? Like, what would be the best case now, the next step for the film once it's complete and getting it out to the world?
Well, I think right now we just put it together and then we'll have a chance to go into a couple of festivals. And then you simultaneously, like right now, talk to streaming networks and then sales agents and distribution companies and all those different things. There's a whole nother world of that out there that I have to deal with right now. And then you talk to them and you see who's willing to help you out the most for, I guess, the least amount of money, and how that even works with some of these guys and how if they want to get behind you, and it's basically going to come down to that. We'll have a great product to show, and then I'll start getting into a few of the festivals, and you start getting attention that way. And then with Jesse, who connected us with you, Cricket Media, him and Brian have been really great. And just doing it the correct way, getting this type of exposure, and just letting people start to know about it. And we have a soundtrack that's going to be, with some great artists on it that we'll probably try to start releasing this summer as a build-up. And if we can release in in theaters and streaming in the fall, then we try to start building July, August, September in some sort of media PR push.
Jesse mentioned that he had a song in the movie, and then he also mentioned, I'm just being Barry Gibb, Dee Snider, Vernon Reid. So yeah, you got some powerhouse names on the soundtrack itself. When you're talking about the movie, how important is the soundtrack? Like, getting that right as well, in addition to just casting everything right, the whole vibe of all those pieces together.
I'm a big music person. I grew up in New York and DJ'd and just I love music. So I always loved soundtracks, Lost Boys soundtrack. They were like, when we were growing up, Stand By Me, like every movie had a soundtrack. It's come back a little bit since Baby Driver, and there's a few other movies now. Well, Pulp Fiction obviously brought it back, but it fell off a little from them. But I've always been a big music guy, so I think it's important. I think that when you watch movies and you're like, wow, this is boring as shit, and you're like, oh, why is this boring? And then you're like, oh, wow, there's no music. And I understand it. A lot of indies can't afford music. The music is just as, the whole process of trying to get a song is just as crazy as trying to get an actor and trying to put the movie together. So I understand it, but I think if you can get, like, we have some up and coming artists who just want to share their music, then you go through and you filter through some of their music. Like Eric Roberts and Eliza Roberts have a son who's a great musician. So let me listen to some of his music, come on board too, and put up and coming artists like that on it with a few like bigger artists. Like we're trying to get a Jewel song that I love, and then Barry Gibb and April Byron, that's who sang this song together from the '60s, and D came on and sang the theme song that I wrote, and just a couple of other bigger names that you tie in with some of these younger artists whose music fits the movie. And then some of it, for my part, it's like some of it doesn't have to really fit that much. Like we need some upbeat music in this, and we have some funny scenes and some good stuff. So it is important. It's make sure you don't. I know what you say. It's just an important thing to do. And we have Vernon Reid is one of the people scoring the movie. Kind of all works together. And I'm excited about placing that music with what I've seen already, because it will give it that extra energy. Especially like there's a couple scenes with Bill and Frankie that are out of this world. Hopefully people don't have heart attacks with the music behind that.
The soundtrack's so important. Like it can be a marketing thing on itself to help sell the movie. Like I remember like the Dirty Dancing soundtracks, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Or like, and then you got me thinking, it's like, I'm pretty sure that the last movie soundtrack that I listened to, that I actually downloaded the album and would play on repeat, was the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what? Guardians of the Galaxy does have a great soundtrack. It is weird. It opens up a great song. Yeah, with Chris Pratt and
it was a whole combination.
You really don't think about it until we think about it.
But it's like when you think of like some of the biggest movies like Grease and Saturday Night Fever, like the albums were their own behemoths in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing I bet about getting like, Eric and Eliza Roberts' kid on there is like in 20 years when he's famous, no one will remember that they'll go, oh yeah, he was on this album. Like, oh, how did Rob get him? You know what I mean? It's like history will kind of just blend itself in, and then you'll be like,
I hope so.
So these are original songs. Like we're getting a new Barry Gibb song, and then you said you wrote
the song. The song's called Long Time Ago, and it was before Barry was a Bee Gee, and a woman named April Byron, who's from Australia, who was a superstar coming up in the game over there, grew up with the Bee Gees before they moved to England and became the Bee Gees. So she was singing with them, and it's a song they recorded. And my producer, Candy Potts, it's her mother. She had passed away about 3 years ago, and she always promised her to help get her music heard, because when she came from Australia, it was really hard. When you came into America, it's like you get a beating here. You're superstar over there, and she had a hard time getting really known here, and struggled and just was a starving artist pretty much her whole life, but really talented. So she passed away a few years ago, and Candy always wanted to help her mother, let people of the masses hear her mom's music, and this is an opportunity right now that can help her get her mother's song out there, and we were able to get approval from Barry because they were friends. So we wrote to Barry's and Gibb and his manager, and they were like, yes, they knew April for a long time. So it's a really nice thing to be able to help Candy fulfill that dream for her mother, who's no longer here, on it. So that's how we got the Barry Gibb song. He's like literally singing backup on it. So April's voice is the main song, and he's doing backup, and he helped her write the song. So it's pretty special in terms of those. And like that one story alone is another story behind this whole story of Beyond the Rush.
Story on stories and stories. What's the target release time for Beyond the Rush?
We are looking to October and it's also Mental Health Month. So it'll be a really great month for it to come out, because we deal with mental health, addiction, and sexual abuse. And I know it's like a heavy subject matter, but I think we've been able to deal with it in a way that we can make it commercially saleable and bring more awareness to it. It's like I say to everyone, I'm pretty close to mentally ill myself, so it's like all of us think we border on it.
Very exciting. I appreciate you kind of giving me some of this inside scoop. Bill, Rob, thank you guys both.
Jeff, thank you, man.
Is there a website or anything where people kind of keep tabs? What's the best way to keep a pulse?
I do have a beyondtherush.com site. I got to put it back up. I've been holding it for years. And it's funny you say that, because just the other day, I'm like, oh man, I forgot. I have the domain, and I took it off because it was from the short, but now I got to put it back up to kind of like start teasing it out there. But the Instagram is Beyond the Rush Film. So the handle is Beyond the Rush Film if people want to follow. I just started putting some things up on there, and I'll keep putting like little things from behind the scenes and different shots and things like that, and not to give away, to do any spoiler alerts, because in the movie there's a lot of things in there just because that could be spoiler alerts. But I'm so used to them, I get nervous. I'm like, oh my God, wait, I can't put that out, right? And Bill's been a part of it now too. So it's like we want to put up stuff to like show people how awesome it was, but at the same time, we're like, oh wait, it might ruin a upcoming scene. But the Instagram will be where you can find it, and hopefully soon beyondtherush.com will be up to start giving some information and news stories and things like that.
And Bill, where can people keep up with you?
Instagram as well. Handle is at Bill A. Barrett. And then I guess IMDb as well is always another way to like follow, I guess, see what's going on. Yeah. You said you saw that in the MCU on there, right? That's where you saw that? The IMDb.
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, that's where you saw that at. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, IMDb or Instagram.
Yeah, there's all that. And that's how I knew you were in The Oval.
Yes. With Tyler Perry, the great right? Tyler Perry.
And First Wives Club. You know, like Rob pulled together an amazing cast. So I can't wait to see this. This is exciting. I'm like, now I'm excited. I can't wait till October.
Hopefully you have us back on when it gets, as we come closer to getting it released. And then afterwards, we'd love to come back and say hi and keep you updated.
Yeah, that would be super fun. That would be great. I would love that. We'll premiere it. We'll do a whole segment on Bill's reaction to watching the short. Finally, we'll get that all going, and then it was like, that could be a whole documentary right there. And
that would be wild.
Thank you guys so much. It was fun hanging with you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. How amazing was Rob Sayegh and Bill Barrett? Such great insight. Keep an eye out for Beyond the Rush. I'm sure we'll have them back when the movie's released. But it was just so interesting to hear from Rob and Bill's point of view, things that we don't really hear about. You know, we just see the end product. So it's great to see their passion and creativity just come to life on the screen with so many big stars. Oh my gosh, how impressive. Such a loaded cast of amazing people. All right, well, the interview over. It can only mean one thing. I know, we're at the end of another episode. Can't believe it. Huge thanks again to Rob and Bill for joining me. And a huge thanks to all of you for coming back week after week. It means the world to me, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Classic Conversations. If you like what you heard, don't be shy and give us a follow on your favorite podcast app. Also, why not go ahead and tell all your friends about the show? You strike us as the kind of person that people listen to. Thanks in advance for spreading the word, and we'll catch you next time on Classic Conversations.